Hey guys, welcome back to this episode of The Backstory. Aryan here, and today we take our talk show to yet another new location and bring it back to my home, Singapore. We've got a very special guest joining us, Adi Oja, who goes by the stage name Taiyo Amari. He's an aspiring musician who is not only talented, but has also been making waves with his unique perspective on creativity and purpose. He'll be speaking about why he stopped focusing on outcomes in his life, and he shares with us the deeper reasons behind the difficult decision to hold back on releasing a lot of his music, and how this decision contributed not only to his growth as an artist, but as a person as well.
So a lot of your proposed releases kind of didn't come out. You didn't release them. Yep. And even there are a lot of songs that you released but actually took off all of your kind of music platforms, Spotify and everything else. So what was the feeling that you had when you released music that you weren't particularly passionate about? You didn't feel exactly, you didn't feel like the click, because I feel like a lot of kind of artistry and creative work is you either get a feeling or you don't.
Yeah, I think for me, like, that's spot on. Like, what happened was I've been sitting with these songs for 2 years.
Yeah.
And once I thought I was mentally ready to like put myself out there, the issue that happened was when you're putting this music out and you're trying to like sell yourself to the world almost.
Yes. Yeah.
You want to be able to stand behind the art you make, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And the truth is,
and you want to be able to connect with it naturally.
Yeah, and connect with it naturally.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, like I don't know if we said this or if it's been cut off in between the scenes, but your music is a reflection of your experiences in a specific sort of time frame.
Exactly.
And that is sort of particularly evident with you because you have a very specific kind of identity.
Yep. So right? I think what I would say is that it's about my life in a specific time frame, but at the same time, it's almost like that shouldn't matter. It should be able to transcend that time.
Yes.
And so what I realized was the music I was making in the past would be like almost third person about my life and the people around me and the life I have.
Yep.
And when it comes to releasing that 2 years after, your opinion on all those things changes.
Of course, because you can't replicate that feeling.
You can't replicate that feeling.
Exactly. And we spoke about this last week.
Yeah, exactly. And so when you're trying to replicate that feeling forcefully for the sake of saying, oh, I promised everyone a song a week. Yeah, it might have been foolish to promise everyone, but my intention was, like I want to get music out.
Yeah.
My issue was I just wasn't creating the actual art that I could stand behind.
Yes, of course.
So, like I put some stuff out, took it down, and I kind of took not a break, but I took like a real like thought out. Okay, like why am I making music, right?
Yeah.
And so right now I think I was able to articulate it pretty well, but I kind of forgot why I make music.
Yeah. So would it be right? Would it be kind of correct to say that you, maybe not the full reason, but a reason why you make the music you do is to kind of feel or externalize those feelings that you feel in the moment?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, the whole thing you said about not being able to replicate feelings, it's like I was telling you last week as well. Like I wanted to write a little blog post about kind of my experience on the tube to work in London and people watching and everything. And I kept delaying it, and when I actually got down to writing it, probably like 2-3 weeks later, it just didn't flow.
It didn't flow, exactly.
Right? And then suddenly I lost touch with what the intention of that piece was.
Yep, exactly.
And I think that translates very well into what you're saying.
It's exactly what happened to me, where it's like, I was like, like this happened in my life, great, let me capture it. And then from then on, let me sort of like put it onto a canvas when I'm ready to put it on a canvas. But the thing is that me waiting for it to be ready is almost me waiting for something to be perfect.
Yep.
And like nothing in life is perfect. The reason I make music is because it's almost a result of my life, right? So it's like it's a product of my life, meaning that
your experiences, your feelings, people you kind of
experiences, feelings, memories, the culture. And so for me,
and just to cut you off there, I mean, like this whole, you probably can't see it in this shot, but I mean, like we spoke about this the other night, like just the city that we live in, and the tall buildings sort of juxtaposed with like the
shop houses, and
the calmness of the tall buildings sort of juxtaposed with
the hustle bustle
of the shop houses, and kind of everything else that goes around here is something that inspires you so much.
It's a duality, right?
Duality is a concept that you kind of explore a lot in your music.
Yeah. So like for me, like I was saying, it's that duality, but it's almost realizing that the reason I make music is because like I value like everything in my life.
Right.
Whether it's like the connections I make with people, the experiences I have. I value all those things. Unfortunately, because of how the way life works, there's no actual way to tangibly like capture those things in a tangible format.
Of course, yeah.
And so for me, music becomes a way of almost capturing those things.
Yep.
In that one MP3 WAV file.
Yes, yeah.
And I think what I didn't like about the old songs I made was that it was almost I was making it for the sake of saying, like I have like, I think I have an ability to like make music.
I'm a musician, and
so let me just release. Yeah. And so then for me, it kind of becomes about, okay, well, that's great, but are you using your ability for the right reasons?
Yes.
And it's like, maybe not. And so it's about reflecting and saying, okay, here's my life, here's what I value in my life, and here's what I'm going to use to create the art I want to make. And the reason I'm making the art is because like that's the only way I'm going to be able to capture those things in my life.
Yep.
And so that's why I make it. And I think what I was saying earlier was that, again, it's a product of my life, but if I get driven by these outputs of like, oh yeah, like I want to make a cool song, that messes up the entire like start of it. Yeah. The idea is, like I want to make good music.
It's almost like you're constraining yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
you're not achieving that flow and freedom.
Exactly, the flow and freedom. And so the output is, I want to make good music, but there's no actual process or a how to do it. There's no wiki how on like how to make a good song, you know? And so that being said, I didn't want to drop any of that old music.
Of course.
And instead I wanted to kind of like live in the moment of what my life was in the last like few months.
Yep.
And so, like I was saying, this new project that I'm coming out with, and I'm going to be coming out with a few projects, like hopefully this doesn't turn into like what I said earlier. But honestly, the reason like I'm confident with this is that this music,
you feel a lot more connected to it.
I feel connected to it because all this music is so flawed.
Yes.
Like there's actual things.
And there's beauty in that flaw.
There's beauty in that flawness because it's raw. It's me. It's actually my life. Yeah. I told a friend a few months ago that I was only going to make house music now because like that's where my head's at. And that was a fact. Like when I was in summer, all I could think about was house.
And you released some of that. And it was so different from the kind of traditional run-of-the-mill R&B that you had initially.
But there's also truth in saying that, like I wanted to drop house then, but now I want to drop folk.
Yeah.
Now I want to.
You say you have like songs with a bit of a Taylor Swift flow coming out.
Yeah, like it's cool and all that. But the idea is like, again, why would I limit myself? Because like, one, I'm comfortable with the genre, and two, that's what people would expect out of you.
Yes.
I think that's when it's like, no, you're a human being. And just because you make art or you want to make music doesn't mean you get rid of that nature. It means you exploit it more. And so the idea is like, now this music, I can confidently say, out of the 46 songs I dropped, or I made in those 2 years, all this new music is fundamentally flawed.
But is at the same time fundamentally you.
It's me.
Yes.
And that's okay because like I'm so flawed.
Yeah.
My life is flawed. My experiences are flawed.
Yeah.
And I love that. Yes. So if I'm making something that represents that, then the only job I have is to accept that reality.
Yep.
And kind of just flow with it and see where the mic takes me.
Put that out and let your and let your audience
and let them have it.
Let your audience as well as yourself kind of appreciate you more organically.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to take this away from a music standpoint because you've told me, again, we met last week for dinner and you said, a lot of our conversation was away from music as well. So talk to me about how this whole intention versus flow ideology has been of use to you in your everyday life away from music. Because at the end of the day, aside from a musician and everything, you still are a university student.
Yep.
Right? You're still a normal guy, just like the rest of us.
Everyone's normal. Yep. Yeah. Just a normal guy. I mean, literally. Yeah, so the entire idea is that through music, I'm learning all these things on a spiritual sense, but
yes.
I'm realizing that in all aspects of your life, if you're always focused on trying to make everything perfect and right, you end up messing up the journey to get there.
Yes.
And then in the end, unfortunately, what happens is people are never happy with the result.
Yeah, and you kind of lose sight of that intention.
Exactly, and you lose sight of why you do things.
Yes.
And again, that being said, it's a very privileged approach to have because,
of course,
that's a reality again that I have, where like I guess I had that privilege to think about things from that standpoint. Right. And so I guess I'm using that privilege to kind of be like, okay, hold up. I do want good results in all areas of my life, whether it's work, school, music, social life, personal life.
Yep.
But is worrying about those results really going to get me there? Is worrying about the how to get there really like the way to go about it, or is it more just, you know, here's what I want to do.
Yep.
That's my intention. I know why I want to do it. Like, let's say it's a very people-oriented thing. I'm a very people-oriented person.
Yes,
that's why I want to do certain things in my life. I want to achieve the most. But the best I can really do is wake up and make the most out of the time I'm awake.
Right.
Until I go to bed. And the way I went about kind of like practicing that these last few months is just, okay, flow. And like, it's such a like overused, kind of misunderstood word, but flow literally just means acceptance, I think.
Okay.
And acceptance is when you really just like, first of all, take accountability for everything that happens in your life, whether it's directly affecting you or just around you.
Yep.
And once you see that accountability, you get this like freedom of like, well, hey, like I'm not gonna like argue with it. I'm not gonna like be upset about it. Yeah. And once you stop being upset with like these other things in your life, like, you know, other people, other situations, even situations that directly affect you, you create this like aura of acceptance, right? Mm-hmm. Which you can just flow and you say, yeah, like, okay, it's fine. I'm just going with it. Yeah. That being said, that doesn't mean I'm gonna get lazy and be like, yeah, dude, like if I don't feel like doing something. No, like this acceptance of everything has forced me to almost now like accept everything, give my 100% to everything, and almost like achieve a level of excellence. Yeah. Where I can see that, okay, now I'm actually giving my 100% to everything in my life. Yes. But it's not because of something I want. It's because like I wake up saying, from when I wake up to go to sleep, what can I give versus what can I get? And I think that once you start accepting everything in your life and accepting yourself, you create that natural flow of like, okay, like I'm going to take it as it goes. Yeah.
For the months that I've known you, I've always had this perception of you as somebody that's really onto his routine, and we've had a conversation about this as well. Somebody that's on this kind of routine of, you know, you wake up at 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m. I don't even know what time it was. You were at the gym, you were journaling, you were reading to kind of educate yourself, to kind of maintain fitness, to kind of be aware and everything, and kind of following this whole aura of like wellness culture, right? But when I met you last week, you said you've dropped all of that.
Yep.
And does that follow the same kind of thing? And what kind of advice do you have for people that are kind of stuck in that kind of thing where they feel obligated to almost take care of themselves to the point where it's overkill?
Yeah, so I think, again, it's a really good point you said. And I think that does outline one of my, not flaws, but I would say like one of the things that I've learned in the last few months. Yeah. But yeah, well, this last year, I've tried everything from, you know, the 5 a.m. club, waking up at 5 a.m. reading.
I think it's a bar here.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Meditation.
I don't know.
Meditation, running, gym.
Yeah.
You know, I used to be in the gym like every single day.
Yeah. I mean, you've tried everything.
I've tried everything.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, I enjoyed those things as well. Like, I loved it. But what I realized was as well, going back to what I was saying, just because you're doing those things doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a product that you want, right? Mm-hmm. And what happens is that when people do those things for the sake of a product, eventually, when that product doesn't show up, those things become like hell. Yeah, and you feel just more dissatisfied. And exactly. And so that's when I realized... You
just feel lethargic and everything. You kind of dig a hole for yourself.
Yeah, you dig a hole for yourself. Yeah. And that's when I realized, okay, there's no right or wrong way to do these things. I think these books and these, like, you know, self-improvement ideas, they do help in sort of recalibration periods in terms of, like, getting your mind together. Because if you can wake up when it's cold at like 5 a.m. and get yourself
good
to
on
the
you,
gym.
yeah,
it's like good on you, but like what you're saying to yourself is, yeah, like whatever the outside world is, I'm still going to do what is important to me. Yep. And so it's realizing that that's the actual thing you're learning versus the actual act of 5 a.m. going to the gym. Because waking up at 5 a.m. going to the gym, I guarantee you, is not going to get you the body you want. Like, it's just not. Like, that's a fact. There's more to it. There's diets, there's other things at play. And so the idea is that you might want these things, but understand that there's no actual way to do it. And that's okay. So fall in love with what you want and why you want it, and then focus on just making that a part of who you are versus, okay, like I have to wake up at 5 a.m. every single day. Because my issue was that, okay, let's say one day I couldn't wake up at 5 a.m. Does that mean I failed that day? Yeah. Well, some people might say, well, yeah. But the other aspect is like, hold on, no, you didn't. Because failure is, again, defined in your head. And so you're the one that's ruining it because you're setting a metric to say that, okay, 5 a.m. is a success. Therefore, the days I don't wake up at 5 a.m. are not success.
An output.
Yeah, and then again, you're saying, okay, well, 5 a.m. is not the output. Earlier, I was saying it's a routine, but now you're defining it as an output.
Yes, yeah.
So it's about recognizing that these things are routines, and they're good to have. And I think that everyone could benefit with certain systems in their life. But it's about acknowledging that, okay, I'm doing the system because I love a system, and because I value the fact that I'm going to take the journey as it goes.
Yes, yeah.
And hopefully get a destination. And if I don't get a destination, that's okay because I love the journey. It's about keeping the outcome in mind, knowing where you're headed, and then kind of just going with the flow of it and accepting it. And certain routines do help. Certain practices do help. But it's not about getting fixated on those things. I think that's when people now start saying, okay, if I don't have that output, if I don't have X, Y, Z, stress. Well, it's like, hold up, is that why you're doing all this?
Yeah.
Well, no. So, yeah. If there's one thing I learned about myself, my life, in this last year is that even as soon as I think I know something about myself or about life, the world just finds a way to surprise me very soon. And I think when that surprise comes, I'm always shocked. I was no, I thought this was like this. And it's that's kind of what you have to accept as the beauty of life, where it's you're always gonna be surprised.
Yeah.
And the faster you come to terms with those surprises, the easier it'll be for you to accept who you are, accept your life, and flow with where life wants to take you, right? And I think what I've learned the most in this 1 year then is that I know nothing, and I don't think that I've been able to do X, Y, Z, but what I think I've been able to do is that I understand myself better each day, because I've just accepted that, okay, what I know today can easily change tomorrow and next week, and that's okay.
And how do you translate that into our wider audience that we have?
I would say that sort of just come to terms with the fact that there's no right or wrong, there's no good or bad, but your only job in life is to accept. And it's not easy. I don't think I fully accepted everything in my life, but the things that I have accepted, the areas of my life that I have accepted, I'm not able to do so much with those areas.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I just flow and I don't really care. And it's not I don't care because I'm dismissive or ignorant, but it's sort of I understand I can't really control what happens.
You don't care on purpose.
Yeah. It's I can't control what happens.
Yep.
I can only control my now.
Yep.
So let me just focus on the now. And then eventually, I guess, as long as I give my 100% and pursue a form of excellence, then the outcome will follow.
All right.
So, yeah.
Cool. So thanks for coming on the episode.
Thanks for having me, bro.
All the best with the music,
Thank you.
with life and the flow in general.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to having you on.
Thanks, bro.
In the next few months, hopefully.
100%.
Cool.
All right.
Sweet.